Hi, I'm Hannele and I want to talk to you more about human design, and today I'm going to talk to you about the throat center in human design. It's the throat here. Two options in your design. One, that center is it's white, or two, it's brown. If it's brown, it means you have a defined throat center, which means that you have a consistent way of expressing yourself. The throat center is about expression. It is about how we show ourselves in the world. It is not only expression in terms of verbal, it's also about our bodies, body language. It's also what we do in life. It's expression per se. And so if you have a defined G center, it means that you have a consistent way of expressing yourself. If you have a defined throat center and you have a direct link from a motor center, which is either the heart center, the root, the solar plexus, or the sacral, it makes you a manifesting kind. It means that you have a direct link from your motor energy into throat, which means you are able to consistently express yourself with action. Okay. Now, there are two kinds of manifesting energies here. Like there are two different types. So we do have the manifesting generator, which is, if you have a sacral center and there's a direct link to your throat, it makes you a manifesting generator. And the other kind is that if you don't have a sacral defined, you are probably going to be a manifestor. Difference between manifesting generator and a manifestor, it is actually quite huge because it's to do with the aura. So generators are here to wait to respond, to wait for things to come to them, yeah? So that we can have that sacral energy turning off in response to something. Like you can think of it as a stimulation that then turns on the motor. And then when a manifesting generator gets a response, then they have the capacity to manifest within that project in a sense. Or keep going, keep working on the project. If you're a manifestor, there is no mechanism of you needing to wait to respond. Basically, you can initiate. You have a motor connected to your throat, so you can simply just turn it on and express yourself. You can be a projector or a generator with throat center defined, but if there is no direct link to one of these centers, which are motors, it means you have a capacity to express yourself consistently, but you don't have the manifesting capability. If you have an undefined throat center, then as opposed to having a defined one, there is no consistent expression. Your voice may change depending on what you're talking about. The words you use can change throughout your lifetime. The frequency of your expression can change. And one of the things that I do find with people who have an undefined G center is that they don't know when to shut up. So we amplify the throat center of other people. We take it in and we amplify it, and we end up talking way too much. One of the things with the undefined G center is that because there's no consistent self-expression, the mind tends to go into the idea that nobody notices me, nobody sees me because I'm not expressing. Therefore, I have to keep speaking. I have to keep making myself seen by my actions, drawing attention to myself, because there's this immense fear that nobody sees us and nobody can hear us. Nobody can understand us because we don't have this consistent expression. So we get hooked on to all kinds of things of talking too much, explaining ourselves too much, feeling like we're not being seen. That's not the truth at all. Of course people see us, but we think they don't because we lack that ability to produce consistent self-expression. And again, it's a mental trip, it's a mind trip. One of the things that across the board, whether you have a defined throat center or undefined throat center, I think it would be a really good idea for most of the people to learn to shut up. And I don't mean don't talk. Like, I love self-expression. I really do. Like, I love seeing all kinds of individuals coming up with ideas and perspectives and, creating art, and that's really beautiful to me. But I also find that the world is full of noise for the sake of noise. Everybody's going around trying to draw attention to themselves and talking about stuff that don't really fucking matter, that is not even interesting. I mean, one of the things, like, if you're awkward with silence, why is that? Do you think silence needs to be fulfilled with noise? Do you think we don't have enough noise in this world? I mean, I relate to this because I have an undefined throat center, so I relate to it. I really do. I'm only talking like this because I want to throw out some provocation. But really, I do feel like we often, as humans, we make noise just for sake of making noise, thinking that we have to be seen, and people see us. What I feel that is much more important than making a lot of noise and self-expression and trying to put stuff out all the time, what I feel is noticed more is when you do shut up. And when you do speak, you speak your truth. Because silence is never silent. In silence, we get to sharpen our other senses. And there are other ways to perceive somebody's expression rather than hearing it or seeing it. We take in through all our different senses. We take in people, we take in environments. And often when you shut down one sense, like let's say that it's the hearing, the other senses sharpen. And you get to see that, or if you close your eyes, you may realize that you hear better. So there are all these different ways that we perceive other people's energy. And of course we feel also, we have a skin and body, and we feel other people's energy fields and stuff like that. So the expression is happening all the time, whether or not we speak it out or not. And if you're quiet, that doesn't mean nobody sees you or hears you. Maybe they hear you better. Maybe they see you more. But when you do speak, can you speak from your truth without pushing it out with your mind? Because one of the things about the throat centers is that it's nobody's authority. Nobody has a throat center authority. It is simply for expression. And the expression is either expression of your mind and ideas, or it is an expression of your inner authority in some way. So I remember a story from a book. It talked about the guy who was painting the Sistine Chapel. And this dude was laying there in the scaffolding or whatever all day looking at his painting. There was somebody watching him. And the dude was just looking and looking at his painting, and hours went by and the whole day went by, and at the end of the day he decided to do one stroke. And he painted one stroke on the ceiling, looked at it and left. And then the guy who was watching him all day, he was really confused, and he went to him and he says, I'm sorry, but I have to ask you, like, you were there all day, like, painting this thingy, and you didn't do anything but one stroke the whole day. Like, what's going on? And the answer was, yeah, I might have made only one stroke, but it was the right one. So, can you think about the throat center like this? Instead of putting out all kinds of stuff and, you know, splashing paint all over the place, can you watch, observe, and see actually what's needed? And put out what needs to be put out, rather than simply just wasting whatever it is that you think needs to be wasted because you think that people can't see you. So I love these metaphors that I get from all kinds of different books, because they really put some concepts in place for my mind. And I love this example, because imagine if we lived our lives like that. If we were in this space of watching, observing, knowing what's needed, and then have the ability to do the right stroke every time. And there's a saying that sometimes less is more. I really find that with the throat center. I'm someone who loves silence. And when you get into I was going to say a rhythm of silence, but let's say that when you just settle into silence, within silence something can emerge, like a word or a sentence or something. And it just goes in a completely different way when you surrounded yourself with this space of not needing to fill anything up. So when something like the right words emerge from your body, they have a potential to go in. But if it gets lost in all kinds of, we talk about this, we talk about that, and we put out this and we put out that, and in between somewhere there are some great insights or some, let's say, expression that just comes out of you, they get lost in that noise that we put out. And if you can calm yourself and you know, hold back on all those things that are not necessarily need to be expressed, then what needs to be expressed can come out, and it can go into others much better. Because one of the things about the throat center and the self-expression is that it's always for the other. I mean, sure, we can express ourselves like through art, and that's for us, really. Like that goes into a bit of a individual circuit. But if I just talk about the throat center and our ability to put out our thoughts and insights or whatever, they're usually for the other, you know. So is it possible that we start to tune into our silence and start to observe, like, what expressions are necessary and what are not? And if you're a manifestor, inform about your decisions. You have this throat center connected to the motor. It makes you a manifestor. It means whatever actions you're taking, they are going to happen, and it would be very good if you could inform people who those actions are going to impact, so that they can get out of the way, and you can eliminate potential anger that way. So communication is a key. And I will also say that it's so easy to think about, okay, we inform of others when we make a decision, when we're about to do something, but often we don't notice that even when you withdraw, So there's always like, you think about action, you think about expression, it's always about going towards, right? But sometimes we can withdraw our energy. So for example, when I talk about this silence, it's like we take away that energy and internalize it. As a manifestor, it's a really good idea that if you have been expressing yourself and doing stuff, if you're about to withdraw, you could inform about that too, because people are going to get really mad if you suddenly just disappear. If you stop suddenly being present in somebody's life, for example, or let's say that you don't turn out to work today because you're tired and you want to go to sleep. Well, you better inform your employee about that. So it's informing in different ways. It's informing when you're about to do something, because when you're about to not do something that you were otherwise supposed to do, that's also doing something. So it's a good idea to remember to inform also when you're about to withdraw, so that those people who your withdrawal is going to impact can actually accept that. And then you can withdraw in peace rather than have that anger around you because you did not inform anybody. So I think that's all I have about the throat center for the day anyway. Maybe I'll talk about it more in other videos, but I think I'm done. My throat center, open throat center, I feel like I have spoken enough. This is another thing that I do tend to really watch in my own process, is that actually the physical part of my throat, when I'm speaking and the voice is coming out, it's getting tired. Like I feel my throat is getting tired. Like I don't really have the energy to push out my voice anymore. And that's when I know that I've done it. I've expressed myself enough now. And even if my mind has more things to say, my throat is tired. So I have to honor the fact that I don't have a consistent energy to express my thoughts and my emotions and all of that. Is that I have to honor the fact that, okay, my throat is tired now, I've spoken. I've said enough. So you'll get more of that in other videos to come. All right. I hope that was insightful for you in any way. And if you like that, you can always hit the like button, subscribe, that's kind of stuff. I'm really lazy talking about that, so you know what to do. Do it if you like, don't if you don't. But thanks for watching if you did, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye for now.